Thank you for doing this little recording interview with me. I feel so blessed and grateful that I've been able to work with you for actually quite a long time. So you initially signed up to Purposefully Clear. I remember the day that you were on the beach and you were just like, should I do this? I've signed up to a bunch of courses before. Like, I don't know if I can commit. And we were just like, why don't we just see what happens? So that was your initial. And then we moved into 3 months one-on-one together, hey? And what a wild ride. I would love you to let me know what you were experiencing prior to signing up for Purposefully Clear.
Prior to signing up to Purposefully Clear, I had been watching a lot of your material, probably for about 12 months. And it all resonated with me. But like I discussed with you, I've done so much. I've invested, not even invested, but I've invested my time and I still feel really stuck. How will this be any different for me this time? Where I was, I just finally made a huge decision on ending my marriage, which had been a 15-year process and very unhealthy. We were still living in the house together as I was trying to navigate my way out, and trying to come to some sort of reasoning with him about living arrangements, finances, how to set it up well for the kids and I and him. And that wasn't going well. And I was living in chaos. I was stressed to the max, and I felt completely like out of control. And what is my purpose? And so hearing Purposefully Clear, like that's all that I've been searching for. Like I've been searching for my purpose, searching for my value, my worthiness. And it's been a great journey, even though it feels like it's taken a really long time. That's what resonated. And that's where I was. And I actually recall saying to you, let me get through this and then I'll come and sign up. Let me get through this huge thing in my life and then I'll come and sort out my purpose and get really clear and activate my life.
And what's funny about that is when people say that sort of stuff to me, I'm like, well, here's another curveball. Why don't you just do it and then you realize there's no waiting for life to begin, right? It's always just like happening in good timing amongst all the shit that feels like it's blowing up around you.
Absolutely. And through that process, it was realizing, no, these are the tools I need. And this is the grounding I need to even be able to function in the life that was playing out for me at that point.
What I noticed with working with you, which I notice with a lot of clients and it's very prevalent in me as well, is throughout the process of us working together, right from the beginning of Purposefully Clear through to our 3-month one-on-one journey, was you got more and more confident with just asking for what you wanted, or just setting boundaries, or just saying, hey, like, I'm actually not available for that, but what about this? I'm going to negotiate on that and see what happens. And the more that you did that, I feel like the more internal or inner confidence you gained.
I can recognize that now, and may not have throughout the process for me, if I'm honest. Some of it would have been, there was a lot of avoidance, as you know.
Yes, which is something that I coach most people through, right? It's like, if you're avoidant, come and see Brooke Nolly, because she will literally hovercraft over you.
That's right. You're empowering me to, set boundaries, ask for what I need, push back where I need. But at the same time, you wanted this consistency and me to prioritize the work and the support that I needed. You're a priority, make this your priority. Whereas I kept slipping back into, oh, no, let me get this sorted and then I'll sit down and work with you. It was a process. I would hand on heart say absolutely. You know what you coached me through, and especially with pushing back boundaries, negotiation in other areas like those, financial ones, in the separation with my solicitor, just getting clear. I just needed that direction. I needed some input and guidance to then give me that confidence, like you said. So, girl, I do it all the time now. I'm like, I've already contacted the real estate here and said, so are you up for negotiating around this cancellation fee? You can either put the rent up or I'll get someone to take over at the lower rent rate. How would you like to play it?
Boom, baby. Boom.
They're like, email proposal. I'm like, okay, so good. Forever grateful. And I'm like, whoever I am in 2 years' time, well, watch out. I'll be a Brooke Nolly.
So now tell me, obviously we've gone through so many things, right? Purposefully Clear is pretty beginner. It gives you the fundamentals of how to take care of yourself, because especially we as women tend to put children, work, life, partners, everything else before ourselves, and then we get the remnants of what's left over, which is typically not much. So that's the entry level part. You moved into one-on-one, but what do you feel was one of the biggest events for you, one of the biggest aha moments where you were like, oh, now I get it. Like, now I understand what it means to put me first and how that's important. Whereas people just go, love yourself, just love yourself, self-love, look after yourself. And you're like, what does that even mean? I'd love to know where you got to. And maybe that was when you were in Byron, when you were in rehab, when it came to you then. But when was that cataclysmic event for you?
There were moments of it throughout the process, from Purposefully Clear to the one-on-one to the most significant aha moment being that 28 days in rehab, which then gave me the opportunity to reflect back and be so grateful on all those little steps that got me there. Maybe I'm just a slow learner. Maybe I just take a while for it to process into my whole body, but I can reflect and see at every moment that I had the opportunity, firstly in Purposefully Clear, to connect with all those women. I loved that. And I didn't realize how much I loved the opportunity of sharing and being vulnerable. That is who I am at the heart of me, but then I'd get really resistant. So now looking back and going, oh, that's what you were craving. And as soon as you received it, you quickly revert back. And yeah, I can see it more significantly now. And one-on-one coaching was incredible. And just, I feel like I'm repeating myself about the confidence and the aha moments. And yeah, who else was going to help me if I didn't ask my solicitor the questions that I needed to ask? But I had no capacity to even sit and journal and hear what it is I needed or understand. I was too highly, I just couldn't do it, which is why, yeah, having you there is the thing.
Capacity. So many people that before they reach out to me, they're like, I'm at capacity. Like, I can't do this on my own anymore. Like, I'm so exhausted and burnt out, and I'm unhappy in my relationship, and I'm leaning towards these addictive tendencies that I don't like. I don't want to smoke cigarettes. I don't want to drink alcohol all the time. I don't want this thing to have a hold over me, but everything feels like it's crumbling and I'm trying to clutch onto something.
Yeah. So then once, through some encouragement from this incredible life coach of mine, we toyed with the idea of rehab, and there were moments even in that decision making where I felt like it was an empowering decision to do that, and it was self-love. And then I would flick into, what a loser who goes to rehab. Why can't you get your life in order? Like, it was definitely a swing between what an incredible opportunity and good on you for putting yourself first, to what a loser. Who needs to do that? Coming through the other side of it, I'm like, as I've said, the biggest gift I could have given myself, the greatest investment of my life, because yeah, that is where everything that we have, everything I've learned prior to working with you, and then specifically this period with you, the meditation, the grounding, the mirror work, the journaling, I was doing it all. I was trying to do it all, and it was all in my head, and I was just doing it and trying to build momentum to experience it, and then getting myself into a safe environment where I was just nurtured, loved, zero stress, was able to unwind, and connect with me and my inner child, that was the moment. Like week 2, so 6 days into rehab, I woke up on the Monday morning and no anxiety, none in my body, none in my mind. And I'm like, wow, if this is a baseline for my future, man. And then that's just what continued, you know. So they were the aha moments. And then the meditations that I'd already listened to 1,000 times, they just stirred emotions in me that I'd never had, you know, like, no, I had cried over them, but it was a different release. It was you're safe and it's okay and you are worthy. So it wasn't like I'm crumbling and I'm dying here. It was you're safe and you can love you.
I'm just like over here crying, but I'm like, it's so beautiful, because what is just like the most amazing part of this journey all the time with clients for me is like when they allow themselves to put themselves first, despite how expensive it might feel, or how they don't feel worth it, or like they're really fearful of like what I call like poverty apocalypses. They just envision in their head that there's going to be some big poverty apocalypse and everything's going to fall apart. But it's like when you take away the thing that you use to soothe, you get to feel who you really are. And then when you get that moment of like, this is who I am, like I'm not that addicted, negative talking, you know, lazy, avoidant person that I've always either been told or believed with the voice in my head. I'm not any of those things. I'm actually anxiety free. I'm actually grateful. I feel love in my heart. I'm connected. Like that's what happens when we take away the things we think are bringing us pleasure. Hey.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it seems like such an easy solution and an easy, why? And for somebody
why don't
who doesn't,
you just stop drinking wine? Excuse me.
Someone who doesn't struggle with drinking would just think, well, then I'd have people go, just don't buy it. How about you just not buy it? It's like,
you just shut up and take your non-compassion elsewhere.
I did think of that one, but I'm not very good at self-regulating in those moments. And a really significant part of that journey for me was being with what they called a therapeutic community. And so there was only a maximum of 9 people at one time where I was. And sometimes it was only 5 of us, but everybody was on a journey to recovery and everybody was just in some sort of pain. And it manifested differently. So it was never about, and their story and their experience, it was all different. But what we were searching for and seeking and rebuilding for ourselves, it was basically the same. And, you know, young girls, middle-aged men, it was just an array of diversity. And the connections and the friendships you build in that was just, we all just want to be loved, you know? We all just want to feel safe, worthy, and it's okay. It really helped me to go, to accept. There was a whole lot of acceptance and forgiveness that came out of that process for me.
Wow. And do you want to, you don't have to share this part. I can always edit it out. But would you like to talk a little bit about the urgency and the sense of urgency you'd have when these cravings or needs to buy a bottle of wine or get a 6-pack or buy a packet of cigarettes? Like, do you want to kind of run me through what you were experiencing in those moments when you'd be like, I have to do it? Like, what was the voice in your head? What was coming up for you when you needed to, soothe?
Actually more of a whole body experience. I need that to feel okay. The story in my head was I would just give myself excuses to participate in it. So it was like a whole body craving, whether it was, you know, I'd start the day going, I'm not going to drink today. And, but actually I don't know what was happening. I can't even explain it, but there was always this. So there was a big story going on. I probably just haven't thought this through. It was just always in the back of my head. So if I achieved everything I needed to achieve for the day, then that would mean, like, I lived in constant anticipation for the afternoon so that I could switch off constantly. I probably didn't even know that that's what was happening, but living alcohol free now and it not being something that's I even consider, I just get on with my day and can do it as I need, and without, like you said, that anticipation that I'm doing it for a reason. So I was always trying to get from this thing to the next thing in this rush state, and ultimately so that at the end of the day I could probably just give myself a drink because, hey, I'd gotten through the housework and everything looked good and everything was sorted, so I'll have a drink and I'll be okay tomorrow. I was living in a cycle of, maybe drinking every 2 or 3 days. And so if everything was sorted, I could drink, and then I could probably have a day where I can't cope, but that's okay because there was nothing I needed to do. And then the next day I'd be back to, manage my life. So I was living half a life, basically. That's how it felt. Like I wasn't living.
It was like you had a relationship with this part of yourself, or whatever we want to call it, where it was like you were in constant negotiation with, do we have a drink? Do we not have a drink? Have we done enough? Have we earned it? Like, I'm feeling anxious. This is a release. Should I buy another bottle? Should I get Jimmy Brings? Like what's coming up for me in each moment? And then it's this constant mind toying, right? And you've mentioned this throughout this interview, is like your mind was so overactive and so critical and so tuned in all the time that your body was like you could really feel that it was part of you, right? It was just like this mind just took reign.
Yeah.
So my question now is, in regards to, say, doing free challenges or signing up to workshops or doing things, getting therapy ad hoc in Australia, what is the difference for you in regards to, say, investing in something versus just going, I'm going to try that thing? Because, you've invested a significant portion of money, and a lot of people don't do that because they're like, I'll just do it myself. I'll do everything myself. That's a real mentality of like, I'm good. I'm DIY. And it's like, why invest money in something?
So I'll answer it in 2 ways, because I have a whole different mindset and appreciation for investing in myself now. Free courses, absolute, or whatever support you can get is always an option. And, it's great. And I think that's where I was meddling. I recall us having a conversation and you said, I see 3 types of people: someone who doesn't know what they need for help, somebody who's kind of in the middle, and somebody who's like, I'll do anything to get the support I need. And I think we targeted me on the middle, maybe 1, 2, because I was searching for help and support, and I was dabbling, but I didn't have the significant appreciation for me to go, this is what I'm worth, and this is why it's worth investing. In a lot of areas of my life, like consuming, I was consuming free content, I was consuming this next thing, looking for something that was going to set me free, set me up, but I needed solid, deep, significant support to bring me to that acceptance, to just bring me to that place. So that for me moving forward, I will continue to invest in me and support, and but it will be deliberate, and it will be like a very wise choice about what I do. It won't just be grab everything. I won't be from a poverty mentality where I'm grabbing all the free stuff so that I can fill myself, because actually it's not even nourishing. That's just...
It's that lack mindset, isn't it?
It was from lack, and it was like, I want to do this, but I'm scared to invest. Whereas now I sit in a position, solid, grounded. I am so worthy of the investment. My life is not worth... There's nothing else more worth more value in my life than me. So which path will I take? Which avenue will I spend my, not even my money, but my time and my energy and my experience with? And I was just very honored to come across you and have that experience with you, because
Me too.
you know, I still honor all the steps that I've taken and all the therapists I've seen and they've all had their part, but this just became solid and significant.
If we think about someone like climbing a mountain, very simple analogy, but it's like whilst they're climbing the mountain, they don't see the top of the mountain. And so they just kind of think, I'm not going anywhere, or all I see is rubble and trees, like nothing's really moving. And then one day, based on the fact that they kept putting one small step in front of the other, there's a clearing.
Yeah.
And then they take a few more steps and there's another clearing, and they're like, whoa, I can see. It's a felt experience, right? Whether it's third eye seeing through your intuition or your eyes, it doesn't matter. Like you feel and you see, it's a sensory experience. So now my main question for you is, why me? Why sign up with me? What was it that lured you in or made you feel like, all right, this is why I need to work with Brooke?
They're all amazing, but I just can't sum it like that. And look, I think even one of my goals from Purposefully Clear was to learn how to articulate myself. And because I had this real sense of feeling inferior, excuse me if I'm a bit baffle my words a little bit. Your personal journey and the content that you were sharing at the time when I first came across you. So codependency, relationships, they were probably the highlights at the time, codependency. But just sharing your journey, your truth. I loved your presence, your stillness, your considered responses and answers. And I was drawn to that because that's what I'm seeking. That's what I was seeking in my life, like a peaceful experience radiating from you, calm, peace. Life isn't perfect. It wasn't like you were saying life doesn't come without its challenges. That's certainly not what you were saying. You were like, there is a new way to live your life and be lived out of peace and acceptance and self-love, basically.
And imperfection. Self-love and imperfection rather than fear.
Yes. And yes, I just, I was really drawn to self-love, and I'm like, well, what is self-love? Like, intellectually, I'm going, self-love is all these externals
chocolates,
in my life.
baths, massages.
Chocolates, baths, massages, shopping. I lived a very, I guess you'd say, privileged life financially, where I could do any of that. I could, and it still left me empty. Like I was still empty, hurting, longing for something more. So your honesty, your transparency, your confidence, your ability to even hear what I'm saying when I don't understand what I'm saying. I'd ramble and you could bring it back to a point and you'd go, help me understand what I'm even saying. You were very persuasive as well. Like, let's just say persuasive, but that's what someone needs.
Persistent.
Yeah, persistent, consistent, persuasive. Ask great questions. Get me thinking. What I've received through my investment outweighs the initial investment, is what I'm trying to say. So again, it's an experience I probably am not very good at articulating. You're
doing very well.
But I can tell you, the people that I see in my life now, they see the difference, and I'm not there to go, oh, look how different I am. But in my presence, they notice. I can see my kids notice. I'm noticing. I am a different person.
Damn, so grateful. Thank you so much for jumping in and doing this with me. And I feel so blessed to have got you on the path of like not being avoidant of finances and just like looking at things and being kind to yourself and divvying up the percentages, meditation, journaling, going outside, like taking breaks, taking space, writing things down, feet in the grass. Like what I teach isn't even revolutionary. It's just pulling everyone out of the chaos and back to basics, out of the chaos, back to basics. And then they get to feel that sense of confidence and consistency, and they're able to go, fuck, life is actually nowhere near as stressful as what I create in my own brain.
Absolutely. And that was a theme word for me, right? Anticipated anxiety, or anticipated, the thoughts were just racing.
And it's like, is this real or is this perceived? Those are my favorite questions I always ask my clients. They come to me with a big novel, like in a group right now, and it's like, is it real or is it what your brain's trying to teach you or tell you? Right? With ego, you know all about the ego versus your higher self. So I just want to say with closing is, I can get you to a certain point, or for anyone watching this, I can get you to a certain point, but I can't create a sense of community for you, a sense of commitment within you. I can't create grounding. I can't create the experience you have in nature. I can't create a recovery program that a rehabilitation center can create. But what I can do is I can point you in a bunch of suggested directions as well, and, you know, apply tasks for you to go, okay, let's try that. And that's what you've done so incredibly well. It's like you started at Purposefully, like started from the bottom, now we're here, basically. It's like Purposefully Clear, 3 months one-on-one, like you went through a breakup, and it was a messy breakup, very manipulative breakup. Then there was all the finances involved, the solicitors, the bills, the children, the manipulation with the children, moving house. Then it was well, now we're in the new house. How do we navigate this transition? And then moving into friendships. Well, all my friends want to drink. What is that going to say about me going forward? And I don't want to be alone. And then moving into rehab and meeting beautiful relationships in rehab, getting honest with yourself, sharing things with people, them sharing in return, your heart opening. And now your life is just, you wouldn't even recognize your life from 6 months ago now.
Yeah. Oh, not at all. Not at all. And I wish I could like express that through and share that with people. And if anyone, I don't know if this is okay, but if anyone is going,
totally okay,
you know, I will be happy to talk. Like,
I'll pop your Instagram handle at the bottom so people can just send you a DM, because so many people struggle with, but it's super normal if I just have like 1 or 2 or 3 glasses of wine every night. It's not a big deal. But like we talked about, it's that sense of bodily magnetism to the thing, and like all the battling in your brain. It's like life gets to be better than that. Yeah.
And finding your group, you know, your how to word for it, I can't.
Tribe?
Finding a tribe, yeah. And 39, you know, I've got friends, and great friends at that, and family. Having the opportunity to experience, I would call Purposefully Clear pretty much group therapy, right? It was so like, that is my new journey, man. I'm like Friday's group therapy with 9 women who are, you know, also trying to stop drinking, you know, with goals, and I just love it. Like, I love it.
Sober life is the good life, baby. Yeah.
Online with people around the world, you know, and I first experienced that with you, and I remember saying in those initial weeks, like, I can't believe how much I love this. Just to a friend of mine, like, I had no idea how much this would light a fire inside me. And you just facilitated that experience so well for, you know, the group, everybody's individual places. And I thank them for being vulnerable too. You know, you knew their story. We didn't know all of it. And it was confronting. So how many drinks do you have this week, Alanna? Oh, Jesus Christ. Like, but the group was there, and that was what we're about. We were just transparent, and there was no shame. There was no shame in it.
No shame. No one's shaming.
And a significant part of what you taught me, just tell me the truth. What are you going to think if I tell you the truth? Like, and you didn't judge, you know, you you loved on me, and then there was a time where you would, you'd call me to a higher place because you're like, that's just not who you are. You are so much more. And you did it with so much love. Yeah.
You're going to make me cry. Thank you. Mwah. You are so beautiful. I'm so grateful.
So am I. Thank you.